Okay, so the last tutorial for the moment, and this one is going to be on using columns and section breaks together to do things like create newsletters and stuff like that. Columns on their own is really easy. You can divide your page into multiple columns, and I'll just show you that. I'm going to do the draggy thing with my Lorem Ipsum. So I'm going to highlight a couple of pages so you can see some text. My Lorem Ipsum text. I'm going to control copy and find my blank document, and I'm going to dump it back in. So that's just the text in a just fill a text in a standard document. If I go into page layout and change the columns to say 3, for example, you can see that that would be 3 columns if it went longer. So if I just Control V again, you can see it now goes over 3 columns. And that's easy. I can make them 3, I can make them 2, I can make them 4. Changes the whole page, and that's it. It's not always what you want though. So sometimes you actually want, for example, if you were creating a newsletter, you might actually want to have a heading on the top first and then have the columns underneath, or even have in the one document different numbers of columns. So for example, I've got 2 columns there. If I wanted to then have 3 columns somewhere else, I can do that. I'll just do the undo thing just to go back a few steps, back to hopefully back to nothing. Okay, so if I were to use section breaks, what a section break allows me to do is allows me to have multiple page setup formatting on the one document. Normally if you set up page formats like margins and things like that, it's for the whole document. Whether it's 10 pages or 3 pages, every page would be the same layout or the same margins, or whether it be portrait or landscape. By using section breaks, I can have a mixture of portrait and landscape pages, for example, or I can have different column numbers on different pages, etc. So that's where section breaks come into their own, and it allows you to have multiple page format settings on the one page. So if I just start by putting in a heading, and I'll just put monthly newsletter, I'm going to highlight it, go funky font type stuff, so pick something that'll do, make it nice and big, so that it goes across. Say, what have we got? Maybe too big, maybe about there. So it's a heading that goes across. If I was to change the column numbers, page layout columns, say to 2 or 3, you can see what it does. So we don't want to do that. So what we can do at the end there is we can insert a section break. Sorry. So if I click on section break, and that's this bottom, so breaks, and then this bottom bit section break, and just go continuous, because I want the section break to not start a new page. I want it to be within this page for this case. So if I just go continuous, for example, brought my cursor down, let's go back to a normal font, Calibri 11, and now I'm going to paste my font stuff in for my Lorem Ipsum from the thing before. And now that I'm in this separate section, if I was to then go, actually I might just at the end of that put another section just so you can see. So I'm just going to go to the end there. I might just press enter just so you can have a bigger gap. And go page layout, break, and go another section break continuous. And go back to home, flip the show hide doodahs on so you can actually see the section break there, and you can see the section break up there. So in between that, I can make this, for example, under page layout columns, I can make this 2 columns. Beautiful. See? 1 across here, and then here, if I wanted to, I could actually make that, say, 3 columns, and paste my text in, and you can see that I, in the one page, have 1 column, 2 column, and 3 column settings. So that's really, really great thing about combining section breaks and columns. It's kind of something you have to see, and it is a little bit tricky to do and a little bit tricky to remember. I'll show you the page options as well. So I'm just going to go here and insert a next page section break, and I've got a section break here, next page, and if I just change this page, say to landscape, what you can see is portrait, portrait, and visually landscape page. If I put another one in, a section break next page, and I can set it back to portrait, so I can show you that. Click on break, section break next page, there's another page, and I can set that back, whoops, wrong one, set that back to portrait, and there you go, landscape page in the middle of all my portrait pages. Beauty, power of section breaks. Use them, they're there, and can really make or break a document as far as doing things like large wide tables instead of having to print them at the end. This way you can have headers and footers, keep your page numbering, all sorts of advantages. So that's it for Word for now, and